Close from home, you know. Yeah.
Welcome to Semper Fi. I'm your host, Mark Bonstein, or as I was commonly referred to, was Staff Sergeant B. Got my guest. Can't wait to get on the show with him. First, we're going to go ahead and read what happened in military history. In the Air Force in 1942, the American aircraft launched from the American carriers Lexington and Yorktown attack vessel near New Guinea. And in the Army in 1945, Patton's 3rd Army made contact with the 1st Army. They linked up near, well, I got to talk to my daughter about her handwriting, and the Allied hold on the western bank front of the Northern Rhine. And in the Navy, 1945, Navy and civilian nurses, they entered at Bosnia, over in the Philippines, flown back to the U.S. nurses, and they were awarded the Bronze Star. And in the Marines in 2004, U.S. Marines shot and killed at least 2 Hades in an overnight gun battle. And that's what happened on the 10th. So without further ado, my next guest was in the Army in 1966 to 69. Then he turned around and decided to join the Navy. So please welcome retired Chief Petty Officer Joe Askins. Welcome to Semper Fi, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
All right, a little background about you.
Well, I was raised in, basically in Indian Springs, Nevada, and I went to high school in Las Vegas. I went to Rancho and Western and Hyde Park Junior High School. And when I was 17, I decided I wanted to serve my country, and I wanted to get out of this hot desert too. So consequently, I joined the Army in 1966 and got out in 1969. And I did in 67, 68, I was in Vietnam with a combat unit over there. I was actually a combat engineer, so I wasn't an infantryman, but I got sent over to the 173rd Airborne because they wanted volunteers out of base camp, so I volunteered for it. And I got back in 68 in one piece, and I'm glad to be here.
All right.
And then I went in the Navy in 1974, and I served 17 years in the Navy. I was aboard the USS Enterprise. I'm an aviation structural mechanic. I got the only sea tour I actually done was aboard the USS Enterprise, and I done that in 1984, 87, something like that. I don't recall. I done 3 years on the Enterprise, and then I went back to flying helos and just doing shore duty and overseas duty with different commands, patrol squadrons and helo units. And I got an air crew. I was designated an air crewman on UH-1s. I wanted to dress in my uniform. Consequently, I went through survival school, air crew survival school in Pensacola, and I was stationed down there in Florida. And I flew helos for 3 years, and then went aboard the USS Enterprise. Right. And I got out and went into a patrol squadron and flew P-3s as a utility crewman, and I retired in 1991.
All right.
And it was a good experience.
Now, a lot of people won't catch this, but on your uniform you are wearing Army pins.
That's correct. That's right here. M16, qualified expert M16. Before I went to NAM, you had to qualify with M16, so I qualified M16. In boot camp, I qualified marksman with M14.
M14, and the one in the center.
And this right here is just it's actually it's a combat ribbon, but it's not an infantry ribbon. But if you're in Vietnam in a combat unit, you're authorized to wear it. And according to General Petraeus anyway, and I ain't gonna argue with him. And it's on my DD-214 also.
Oh, okay, well, you got it on there.
And these ribbons right here, I see you got one also. You got the Navy Achievement Medal. That's the highest one, and I only got it one time. I see you
only got it one time. I was only good once.
And the rest of it's just basically Good Conduct Medal and Sea Service ribbon in Vietnam. And here, right here is, these are the two that's combat related. What is it? Vietnam Cross of Gallantry.
Okay.
That's what this one is, and right here, this was given to us by the Vietnamese army over there. And this one, everybody from Vietnam knows what I'm talking about, because it was over there during that time frame. Even in country, you'd get both of these ribbons. So they're kind of a blanket ribbon. But I'm proud of them. You know, it was given to us, and we've seen a lot of things that we don't like to talk about. So consequently, I'm glad I got it, and I'm glad I served my country. And I want to say one other thing. I'd like to welcome back all the combat veterans from Vietnam and Iraq, Afghanistan, and whatever other conflicts we had. I'm sure we had a few that probably I forgot about or try to forget about. But we made it back in one piece, and I want to say welcome back to all the combat soldiers, sailors, Marines, and also the support. There's a lot of support people. Had it meant for them, and we wouldn't be here today.
Damn Damn right. Hoorah to that, Chief. All right, that's good.
It was a good experience.
Now, on your patch,
Which
you
one?
have this one here.
Oh, that's aviation structural mechanic. Like I say, in the Navy, I was an aviation structural mechanic. I went in 1974, and I didn't even have to go through Navy boot camp because I was already in the Army, so they just sent me straight to training for work on aircraft. So aviation structural mechanics, what I did in Millington, Tennessee, and then from there I went to Patrol Squadron, and then I went on a USS Carrier Enterprise.
Okay, so because of your time in the Army, it was served as time, and you went right into the Navy without even going to
That's
training?
right. I went straight into AI, straight into to training in the Navy for my aviation structural mechanic training. I didn't have to go into boot camp because I guess they figured since I'd done 3 years in the Army and already done basic combat training in the Army, that it would be kind of a waste of time to just go through Navy boot camp. But I really do wish I'd have gone through it because I actually missed a lot of things. I really did. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know how to board a ship, really. When I got to the Philippines, I had to ask some junior guy. I was the first class at that time. I said, "What am I supposed to do?" We just go up there and salute and say permission to come aboard, sir. So that's what I did, and I guess it worked because I made it all right. But
they didn't tell us when I was on the Bell of Woods. Same thing.
I kind of missed. I kind of missed going through boot camp, but like I say, I probably didn't. I wouldn't have. It didn't hurt me, I don't reckon. At least I'm here, and I made chief. So what can I say?
All right. Now, when you first come in, when you're in the Navy, a lot of people don't catch this. Your hash marks at that time are red, and they don't turn gold until your 12th year in.
Oh, that might be the way. Yeah, that may be true. I don't really know that. The only thing I know about these hash marks is that if you stay out of trouble without getting caught, you get 1 hash mark for every 4 years of good conduct. Now, as far as the 12 years go, yeah, that's true. You come to think about it. That's right. You got to have 12 years in before you can go to gold. That's right. Without any trouble the previous 12 years.
No office hours.
That's right. And no captain's mast in my case, or UCMJ in the Army.
And so when you do your 12, when you're after your 12 years and we're still putting our stars on our good conducts, then you guys can convert your your hash marks to gold braid.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's why a lot of people used to always ask, why do they have gold braid and others have the red?
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it because they might have gotten a little bit of trouble. You never know. And
when you see somebody with 4 hash marks and still red, they had office hours.
They had, like you say, office hours or captain's mast or whatever. But they still serve their country, so you got to give them credit for that.
That's right. Hey, we all screw up at one
That's
time
right.
or another,
we
don't we?
Mistakes. That's for sure.
So you said you were in the Philippines.
Yeah, I was. Actually, I wasn't stationed in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
That's where I went over to catch a USS Enterprise. I flew over there. But then I was in a patrol squadron several times, Patrol Squadron 50, Patrol Squadron 48, and we flew over to the Philippines for different activities and so forth as far as supporting the conflicts or whatever it was during that time frame. But it's a good place to be stationed, obviously. Anybody in the Philippines know what I'm talking about. Beer was good.
San Miguel, right?
San Miguel.
I was doing Marine barracks over there, Company C over a ways.
You was over there for 6 months or longer, right?
I was there for a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was on a company tour, so just did a year.
Oh, on a company tour, yeah.
Yeah, so we just barracks duty. We were like almost like MPs, but without the title.
Right. Yeah, that was probably a tough job in the Philippines, I would imagine.
Yeah, it kept us on our toes. Been shot at a couple times out there.
Sure. And and sailors, all the service people over there, they go out and have fun, and if you get what they got supposed to be there for, and some of them you got to bring back to the hooch, bring back to the barracks, That's the way it was with me a couple times anyway. But it was a good experience, it really was.
I don't see any reason why it wasn't. So, what other MOS schools did you go to?
Okay, I went through when I first went in the Army. I went through a combat engineer.
All right.
Combat engineer. I went through at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and then when I got to Nam, like I said, I was stationed in Quinlan. We was there to support the ammunition dump and secure it. And then I tell you what happened. I got in kind of a conflict with the Koreans over there. Actually, one of them got killed because I was driving a piece of machinery, and they was in the middle of the road, and the brakes went out on this heavy crane I was driving down the road. And I run over one of them. I don't know if it hurt him or not, but about 2 months later, or less than that actually, about a month later, they sent me up north to Ankei, which is a little further up in the Central Highlands area. And I guess they wanted to get me out of there because them Koreans, they weren't too happy about that, which, I felt really bad about it, but I couldn't do anything about it because the brakes went out on what I was operating, and they was in the middle of the road. If anybody was in Nam, they know what I'm talking about. Them ROKs over there, a lot of them just get in the middle of the road and they don't move out of the way. And that's what happened, but I hate to talk about it, but it might have killed that guy. Anyway, they sent me up north, and from there I volunteered to work with the 173rd Airborne. One of the infantry companies over there, I don't remember what it was, 501st, 502nd, I don't remember the company number. But anyway, we was out in the bush for a while, and I got back and luckily made it home in October '68. So it was a good experience, and a lot of things I want to forget about. And I'm sure a lot of people that's watching this show knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. How long did you serve on sea duty?
Well, as I said, actual sea duty I only served 3 years aboard the USS Enterprise, and that was actual underway time. And that's where I picked up chief. If you guys were going to the military and you want to get promoted, you're going to have to ask for the arduous duty, the hard duty. And sea duty was hard on board a carrier. You work 7/12, everybody knows that. It's everybody in the Navy. All the Marine Corps, as far as it goes.
You got nothing but time on
That's
it on
right,
the ship.
that's right. So you want to work. Anyway, and that's about the only hard sea time I've done. And then just flew over to different places like Misawa, Japan, and Philippines, and different places. The last overseas duty I had was in Adak, Alaska.
Oh, you
before I
were
got
over
out, VP 48, yeah.
Now, how long were you over there for?
I was over there for just one tour, because I only spent two tours before I got out, 2 years before I got out in VP 48.
Now, how long was a tour over in Alaska?
It was just 6 months. 6 months, yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty good duty. I actually enjoyed it, as a matter of fact. It wasn't too bad a duty at all. It wasn't really that cold time frame. And we flew out of there once in a while. Went up to the capital of Alaska, to that Air Force base they got up there, Army base. I forgot the name, Fort Richardson or one of those bases up there. At Anchorage. Anyway, it was pretty good duty. I enjoyed it, and it was it was the last time I went to overseas before I got out. I could have gone back to the Philippines, but I told my commanding officer I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to stay with my wife because she wasn't doing so well. But anyway, it was a good 17 years.
All right.
Good 17 in the Navy and 3 in the Army.
Did you ever do recruiting duty?
You know, I asked for recruiting duty to get it as a permanent duty change of station, but I never was authorized. I never was given it because, I don't know, I just never was. But anyway, every person, the way I look at it in the military, is a recruiter, because if you're out on leave and you're wearing your uniform, or even if you're not wearing your uniform, you're still going to talk about the military. But I never was actually specifically assigned recruiting duty. I wish I had been, though. I really wanted to do it. I mean, I look at it as being gravy duty, really, because you get to wear a uniform all the time.
Well, I don't know. You get to hear all these threats with the quotas that you got to maintain.
That's true,
you know.
Yeah, and you get a lot of, like you say, people might be picking in the office or something. You never know. But yeah, I'd actually never done that. Nope, never done that at all. I would have liked to, though.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. So get a cup of coffee and join me back with the chief, and we'll be right back.
I'm glad you asked me to do this. It was a good experience.
All right, welcome back. We're talking to my host, retired Chief Petty Officer Joe Askins. First day with new lips, we're still breaking them in.
Yeah.
All right, he was just kind of mentioning about the show Semper Fi, and the actual phrase is Semper Fidelis, which was Latin for always faithful.
Always faithful, right.
All right, just for the break, we talked about going on recruiting duty. Now, the Marines, we have drill instructors. What do they call them in the Navy?
Yeah, like I say, I actually recruit company commanders. That's what they're called.
We would call them B billets, being a recruiter or drill instructor. Did you become a recruit or?
No, I was not a drill instructor. I would have liked to have been a drill instructor in the Army. They call them drill instructors in the Army.
Army drill sergeants.
Yeah, drill instructor. When I went through boot camp, basic combat training in '66 in Fort Ord, they call them drill instructors or drill sergeants. Yeah, because a lot of times you'll have a corporal that's doing the job. So you can't very well call a corporal a sergeant. You see what I'm saying? So consequently, I mean, like I say, you had a corporal that would not be doing some of the underwork.
So I wonder when the Army
E6
actually changed it to drill sergeants from drill instructors.
When did they actually change?
The title. Because I know in the Marines they are drill instructors because you can be an E4, a corporal, and sergeant up to staff sergeant, even up to the rank of E7 to be a drill instructor.
That's really a good question. I really think they're still called, I think they're called drill instructors. Now, I don't really know. I'm sure some of the people out here could probably elaborate
Yeah.
more on that than myself, but I know we always call them DIs, our drill sergeants. You know,
Yeah.
it don't matter because, you know, we're both doing the same thing. They're training civilians to be military, and that's just the name of the game. So I don't know what the title would be, but I know they sure give me a hard time. I know that for a fact.
That's what they're paid to do.
Yeah, they paid to do it. They made me from being a kid leaving Vegas to turn into a man. Yeah.
Everybody agrees on the show that it's a lot of growing up.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
give you a lot of
It's a good
responsibility in a little
experience. Good
time.
experience.
Where was your best duty station? Libo
question.
reasons.
Good question. I don't know. You know, I think I'm going to say Moffett Field, California. When
Really?
I was in a patrol squadron there, yeah. I mean, it's a small base. You know, you ain't got a large place like Norfolk, Virginia, or Pendleton, Camp Pendleton in your case, to where you got tens of thousands of GIs, I'll use that term, sailors, Marines, whatever you want to call them. And you got a small complement of military folks in Mountain View, California. So consequently, when you go out in town, you know, you remember years ago when you seen these signs that says "Sailors stay off the grass" there in San Diego. But now they're treated really well. You know, the military treats, you know, the civilians treat military people great now, a lot better than they treated me when I come back from Nam. And we got stuff thrown at us. I'm sure people can relate to that out here. They didn't treat us too well, but still, you know, we done what we're supposed to do.
That's right.
But yeah, I think my best duty station was probably Moffett Field, California. I liked it down in Florida too. I did a lot of hunting and fishing down there. I was stationed in Pensacola, Florida. That's where I flew UH-1 helos for 3 years. So that was a pretty good duty station. I'd say that in Pensacola and probably Moffett Field, California.
Give a little down and dirty on the status of exactly what an air crewman did on helicopters.
Okay.
What was your responsibility for the pilots?
In my position, I was just a utility air crewman. My primary function was obviously to rescue people if necessary. You know, and of course the Coast Guard does that, and other branches of the Naval Service does that, and
Right.
I'm sure the Coast Guard is, well, I'm sure that a lot of branches do it. But my primary job was just a utility air crewman. I'll tell you what I basically was. All I had to do was make sure the aircraft was ready, do the pre-flight on the aircraft, make sure it was ready for the pilot. You know, and he'd come there and I'd salute him when he'd come up there and I'd say, "Sir, your aircraft's ready." And he'd go around and do his pre-flight and say, "Okay, well, thank you there, Chief Askins," or in that case, in that time I was only a first class. And he'd get on his aircraft and then I'd just ride in the back. And my primary mission in Pensacola, Florida, Whitingfield, Florida, was just to say, "Clear right, clear left," because it was a training command. And what they was doing was training pilots.
Okay.
And they was training these junior pilots, and all I had to do was look out for other aircraft. So basically, it was just a gravy job, sitting in the back of the helo, you know, with a free ride. You know, it was a good job. It really
What
was.
entitled your inspection of the aircraft prior to turning it over to the pilot?
Well, actually, like I say, I'm an aviation structural mechanic, so my primary mission, training mission, was to was look at the airframe of the structure of the aircraft itself. The
What were you
airframe.
looking for exactly?
You're looking for fuel leaks.
Okay.
You're looking for tires that may possibly be worn to where it's unsafe to operate it, and you're looking for anything that makes the aircraft safe for flight. So if you see a fuel leak or you see something that doesn't look right to you with your training, you'll let the pilot know about it, or you'll look it up in the NATOPS or one of the maintenance manuals and say, "Hey, we got a problem here. This aircraft is down, can't fly it." And so, I mean, you just basically look for anything that makes the aircraft unsafe.
Okay.
So it could be a number of things. It could be the rotor. It could be the fuselage itself. You know, it could be a lot of things. You know, it could be just the radios, anything. You know.
Okay, so just anything that
Anything that-
time and
right.
elements would just wear it down?
Yeah, anything that would make the aircraft unsafe for flight, because that's a pilot's responsibility. But you as an air crewman, you work together as a team, and that's what a pilot and a crewman do.
How long does it usually take you to check the aircraft like that?
We usually pull a minimum. I think NATOPS says we have to do a minimum 1 hour, anywhere from a half hour to an hour.
Okay.
So I would every time I'd done a pre-flight, it was just I always spent a good hour on it. You know, I mean, depending on what the mission was. If you had to go out and rescue somebody or something of this nature, then obviously you're gonna look the aircraft over real quick and get in it and go out and do what you got to do. You know, make sure that it's not going to crash when you guys are going out to save somebody's life. Obviously, just common sense stuff.
So there is a window of a long sheet to check the bird, and if you
Oh,
have to
sure,
go,
sure.
then there's a short sheet
Right.
that you can just say, this is good enough, we can go and get back.
That's right. So you know a little bit about yourself. That's true. You do have two different pre-flight lists you can go
Right.
by. You know, you have the in-depth one, and you have, like you mentioned, the one that's on a quicker nature. So if you have to go out and do something really quick.
Just let me check the down and dirties, and we can get
right.
this off.
The biggest thing is you go by the NATOPS. That's the aircraft in-flight handling book. I forgot what the acronym NATOPS means, but it's been so many years. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there know it. But I don't. I forgot what it was. But it's just basically, you know, it's the same thing you should do in your car when you get up
Yeah.
in the morning. Go out and check the tires
fluid,
and check
the
fluid,
fluids
yeah.
and the pipes.
Because it's pretty hard to land those things up in the air, you know, when they start breaking down, you know. So it ain't like a car. You look it over pretty good.
So what bird did you fly in anyway?
I flew the UH-1 aircraft, which is the old Vietnam era.
The old
Hilo.
Hueys.
Yeah. Now they had I flew the UH-1 Echo, okay, which is they had the UH-1 Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and then Echo. So this was a little newer, might have been a little newer aircraft than what it was in Vietnam.
So if going from an A to a B, was it an upgrade?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly
what was
it is.
the upgrade from this
Well,
one to a B from an A?
Well, they might increase the torque and the engine performance, the horsepower, and the airframe might have different the assembly and so forth that's going to make it fly better. You know,
No
I mean,
more
it's
than just saying from an M16 to an M16A1, putting
Yeah,
a forward
exactly.
assist
Sure,
on
sure,
it.
sure.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they all
yeah,
had modifications.
Yeah, like you figure a UH-1 Alpha, compare it to a Buick, and then you say a UH-1 Echo, you might compare it to an Oldsmobile or a Cadillac or something. You know, it's just a little higher upgrade, just a better aircraft.
Okay.
You know, it's just a little more
Well, a
better
lot of people
configuration
hear
for
the
mission.
Alpha and the Bravo,
Sure,
and they
sure.
don't know.
Well, that's what it means. Alpha means the first one, Bravo, right on up the
It's just
second
going
one,
up
yeah.
as they
Upgrade, exactly
modify.
what you mentioned earlier, upgrade.
All right. So, did you ever fly in 53s?
UH-53s, not
Yes.
as a crewman, no, I flew in them. Yeah.
Did it? Okay, how about
Well, not
46s?
UH, yeah, well, I guess it could be. H-53 would probably be for moving material, wouldn't it?
Well, we used to get transport in the Philippines
Yeah,
from
yeah.
San Miguel
Okay.
to Capas Tarlac.
Right, right.
We flew a lot of. They used to fly us from one to go on patrols. It was either 53s or 46s.
Yeah, H-46 sure.
We used to
sure,
get
yeah.
hauled in the 46.
Yeah.
There were Navy pilots
Rotary
that
aircraft,
always
yeah.
flew us over there. Then they would take us back to San Miguel.
San
And
Miguel. Is that in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We would leave for 2 weeks from San Miguel and go up to Capas Tarlac, which was right near the air base out there.
Which air base?
I'm trying to think of the name.
Okay,
I
is that the
wanna
one?
say Clark.
Is that the one? Clark. That's right. That's when they shut down.
Yeah.
When they had and I was over there catching a flight from Clark back to the States because the Enterprise pulled in, and we stayed there overnight. I tried to catch me a hop, but I couldn't get one, so I had to fly out commercial. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And there
So,
was
so you were stationed in which part of the Philippines?
It was 50 miles south.
What was the name of the town? It wasn't that little town where everybody goes that it pulled in.
No, you were thinking of Olongapo.
Yeah, Olongapo,
This
that's
was
what
50 miles south of Olongapo.
okay.
That's the name of the town was
Smaller
San
base.
Miguel.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
name of the place.
I've heard of San Miguel.
And it was a small Navy base, and it was mainly communication.
Communications.
They had an
station.
antenna field,
Right.
and they used to have to. We used to have to. The Navy would destroy all these documents at night, incinerary, and we had to stand there and watch them. And then Capas Tarlac was another antenna area, and we used to walk the patrols. It was Tanglefoot was our perimeter, and because the locals would come in there and dig up the wire and always
Yeah.
want to retrieve all the copper. So
They still do that. Well, they do it here anyway. I don't know if they do it in the Philippines or not, but they sure do it here.
And they did it on our pistol
Yeah,
range. We had a
yeah,
little mound, and
yeah,
they come
yeah.
in there and they try to dig out all the tips of all the 45s that we.
What was you, an infantryman in the Corps?
Yeah,
What was
I was
you?
a grunt.
Grunt, okay. So you was actually, you wasn't
Machine
a
gunner.
specialty, yeah, well, everybody in the Marine Corps is a fighter, obviously, but I mean, you do have special MOSs, I guess, for other
Yeah,
than just being,
I was,
being a fighter, yeah.
Carrying the M16 or the
Yeah.
M60, the machine gun.
Yeah.
And
That was a good weapon, you know. M16 was a good weapon. I saved my life in Nam, that's for sure.
did you ever fire the M14?
Yes, I sure did. I had trained on it. That's how I got this marksman ribbon.
Okay, so
that's what we
what-
trained in boot camp with, yeah.
So
Our
which
basic
did
combat
you
training.
prefer, the 16 or the 14?
I mean, you know, the 14 is a good weapon. It doesn't jam like the 16, but
That's
it's a lot.
true.
It's a lot heavier. You know?
Yeah, it
so
is,
if you're out in the
but,
bush, you know, you better have a light weapon.
The one thing I always liked about the 14 over the 16 is that it carried the same ammo as the M60.
Yeah, that's
Had
true.
the same casing.
7.65. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So whenever you needed ammo,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can always borrow from your open machine
you could
gun.
always
got
break
some over
down the
there.
belt
Right,
and
right,
grab a
right.
couple casings and
yeah,
shove them in your magazine, and you had some. The 5.56, if you were out, you were out.
Yeah, exactly.
There was plenty
Exactly.
7.62
Sure,
around.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of respect for the Marine Corps. They do a great job. The elite force, they definitely are. No doubt about it. Yeah.
Now, on your jacket, on your other patch, you have a unit patch.
Which one?
That
Oh,
one.
right here?
This one down here now. Okay,
that's
first
just-
you have.
Everybody knows what that is. If they've been in NAM. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam.
As that's
what
the
that
patch
is.
means.
That's a MACV patch. Everybody knows that. Well, it's been in NAM.
Okay. Well, that wasn't
Maybe a few
over in-
civilians too. I don't know. But yeah, I think now. Let me be perfectly honest with you. I think this patch is worn by the Air Force, and I think now I could be wrong. I think I was reading this somewhere. And the other patch, which is green, which is not green. Let me as you were. It's a patch. It's a little different color. This right here, the Air Force wears it, and the one that the Army wears is green in this color also.
Okay.
But if you're in Vietnam, you're going to wear any patch you want because you earned it. You know, that's the way I look at it. I mean, you're going to learn at least any patch that stipulates where
Now
you're at.
that patch on that sleeve was when you were in the Army. With
Yes,
that unit.
that's correct.
Okay.
Now this uniform, let me stand up. This uniform, I'll tell you right now, all you people out here looking, well, they can't see me anyway. It's probably not two standards, but I'm retired Navy, so I'm authorized to wear it like this, according to the VA people I talk to in the Department of Defense. I mean, I'm sure if I was in an active duty company, I wouldn't be wearing this and this, but I would be wearing these ribbons and all this stuff.
And the rest of it,
right,
just
right
everything that I wear, we're
This right here
authorized.
is just my retirement uniform.
Yeah, and then the top
Yeah, that
two.
tells what year I was in NAM, 67
That's-
and 68.
That's just
Yeah,
saying when he
yeah,
was
yeah,
over
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So, and I noticed your national defense has a star on it where.
2 wars.
Uh,
Yeah, you know what the 2 wars were, right?
No.
Well, the Persian Gulf.
Oh.
That was a war. Wasn't that
Yeah.
a war? 91. It was only a 90-day war.
Well, that's
But it was
the
a
one.
war.
That's how I got my national defense was
There
for
you
that
go,
one.
there
So,
you go. It was
unless I
like-
want to,
yeah.
unless I want to consider my first wife, then I can put a star on that one.
I know about all. I've been married 40 years. So I couldn't talk that way. So. But anyway, yeah, it was a good experience. You know, again, I want to say I'm glad. I want to say thank you to all you veterans that come back here and serve their country. You know, and the ones in Iraq and Afghanistan. Hope you make it back in one piece. You know, it's a good thing to come back and know you served your country and served it well.
That's right. Like we said earlier, no matter what branch you serve, we all salute the same flag.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right. And we took the same oath. You
That's
know.
right, and we did.
You know, if you got people that's going to go in the military out there, make sure they want to serve their country. That's their first primary mission, not to get free college, good money, good duty, whatever. To serve your country and to die for your country if necessary. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right, Chief. Looks like we're getting ready to wind down. I want to thank you for being on the show, and I have a little something for you. It's a little chip.
Semper Fi, I love it. You know how many years it took me to know what that meant? I used to work with it with a lot of. I was stationed in where's it at? California, where they train all the California's a big state. Not Weddingfield. Out there in the desert, you know.
29 Palms?
No, it's at Channel Lake, Naval Weapons Station,
Okay,
Channel Lake.
yeah.
And that's where they train all the. That's where they do all the weapons upgrade aircraft. That's where they test all the aircraft. And I work with a lot of Marines, and I had to ask a Marine, gunny sergeant, "What does Semper Fi mean?" He said, "You're a chief petty officer. You know what Semper Fi means?" I ain't never going to ask him again. But you know, really, I didn't know what it meant.
Well, it's equivalent to your anchors away,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But,
But I sure appreciate it. And I'm glad you asked me to come on here and do this program because I didn't have anything else to do. I drive a school bus, you know, sub driver. So I, you know, whenever I get a chance, I do whatever I have to do. You know.
sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for another show.
Yep.
I thank the Chief for being here. And remember, you have a story, I want to hear it. Give me a call at 751-4823. You got a story, I want to hear it. I want to share it with others, just like Chief did over here. So until next week, Semper Fi. Hoorah.
And thank you,
Thanks,
Staff
Chief.
Sergeant, for having me aboard.
Hoorah. All right.